FM 94, The Dark. It is that time. And again, it's time to get to know a band we play here on The Dark. And on the phone tonight, I am talking with the lead singer of the band Another Day's Armor, that being Daemien Drake. And Daemien, first of all, how are you doing? And I know you're kind of in the middle of what's going on right now in the world, and that being the coronavirus, COVID-19, as you're in New York, New York. How are things going there right now?
Hey, I appreciate it, man. It's crazy right now. I'm sitting here with my best friend hand sanitizer and my buddy in the back rubber gloves. Trying to stay safe during all this, but it's a crazy pandemic that we're trying to deal with, especially having the city shut down the way it is, and it hasn't been like that in a long time.
I know off the air we were talking about if you had ever, I guess, had the 9/11 experience, since you said you were living in New Jersey, and I kind of asked you if it was kind of similar, and you said, nah, not really. It's a lot different, isn't it?
Yeah, because, during that time, obviously everybody was very shaken up from the attacks and stuff, but I feel like with this, it's a little different just simply because it's something that, people are contracting and getting so easily. So they're trying to really limit, the amount of people going out and about and just walking around, because obviously, the city is an overpacked place. So they're trying to limit it down to, it's the minimum of just going out and getting groceries or something. But other than that, I feel like it is a little bit of a different magnitude from when the attacks happened.
I was going to say, have you had a chance to go out and about much, or are you pretty much hunkered down, sheltered in?
Yeah, I'll do my occasional, peek out to, get things that I need. But honestly, if I try to, be a little smart about this, especially when, we got a band to run here. So I tell you, the last thing I need is to catch this thing and see my way out. So
Absolutely.
I'm trying to keep all the safety precautions,
Yeah, you do. I want to get to the band in just a moment, but obviously this is a huge topic of what's going on in the world. How do you feel it's affecting the music industry right now?
To keep it real, man, it's killing us. And you see it all over social media, and you see how people are trying to just figure out what to do because tours are getting canceled. Venues are losing money between all the workers at the venues. Not only the workers, but stage crew. You have your touring group crew with between stage hands and merch people. There's just so many. People don't realize how many jobs are actually involved in this world, and with the idea of not being able to go out and do these things, it's really hurting a lot of people. And people are trying to figure out how to get through it, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of money that's being lost.
Yeah, you brought up a great point because, I've noticed a lot of the artists are trying to use other platforms to get their name out there. But when you mention the behind-the-scenes people that, like you said, the clubs, the roadies, all that, they don't have that option, do they?
No, and there's people that I've seen who are they're making GoFundMe's and making different things to help donate to these people. But at the end of the day, man, there's a lot of people. With you can raise money and you can help out in the ways that you can. But at the end of the day, there's still going to be a lot of people that are losing a significant amount because to a lot of artists and a lot of people working in the industry, this is all they got. They don't have a side job. And then when this happens, there's basically no income. And it's obviously for the artists, they have your merch and stuff like that and the music that gets played. But, for the people behind the scenes, it's, they're pretty much screwed during all this.
Yeah, they are. It's tough. And, obviously you guys are kind of a newer band formed at least. What effect do you feel this is going to have on you guys?
Well, quite frankly, we did have a bunch of shows in the next coming month, or, actually technically this month, that, we lost those. And then on top of that, we were set to shoot for a really big next single, but now we're kind of going to be holding that one off because, with everything being shut down, there's only so many resources you can use. So, we were planning to do another music video and get everything prepared for this next song to really push it. But now we're kind of sitting here just playing it by ear on how we're going to go about things. So it's, between that and the shows, it's like, yeah, like sure we have streaming and stuff, but at the end of the day, man, it's, we're still a band that's trying to progress. We're not like a Metallica that could take 5 years off and still go play a stadium the next day. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. It's tough. We're talking to Daemien Drake. He's the lead singer of the band Another Day's Armor. I know we've basically been talking about kind of the COVID-19, but let's get to your band and find out more information about your band. How did this band all come about? Give us the details on it.
So the funny thing is that the band was mainly started by our guitarist Nick and our drummer Alex, but then later on came in bassist Joe, and then from there is when I came in. So I was more of a late addition, actually. So there was another vocalist prior to me, which if you go online, there is about 1 or 2 songs out with the old guy, but I came in after the fact, and then after that is when we added Brian. So it's kind of just been like this slow domino connecting thing where we all kind of came together. But I feel like right now where we're at as a group is probably the best it's ever been for the band.
That's awesome. What's the background, I guess, for you when it comes to the music? As a young kid growing up, and then were you in some other bands prior to this one?
So to be real, man, the crazy thing is I actually, when I was growing up, I wasn't even playing in bands. I was actually doing rap music, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And the funny thing is that's what I did for a while. Like, I started singing when I was in high school, like doing like choir and stuff. But once I graduated was probably the first time I played in a band when I was like 19. And I used to look completely different. I didn't look like your typical band guy. And then as I started playing more in that world, I slowly started adjusting, and the music started changing, and then here we are, 2020, and I'm a metal singer, Definitely,
yeah, that's crazy.
Definitely flipped the script.
Yeah, going from rap to metal. I like that. But that's okay, though, because, there is kind of that rap rock kind of format, which is out there a little bit. Growing up, obviously, if you kind of were in the rap side of things, what did you listen to as a young kid?
Well, when I was really young, I did grow up like listening to like early 2000s metal. So
okay.
your Godsmacks, your Disturbs, Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, like that kind of style. And then as I got more into like actually making music, all I really listened to was rap. So I mean, you could name it. I used to study that damn genre, because I didn't want to sound like some corny, white guy doing it. So I basically listened to everything and anything that had to do with that genre and culture. But then once I came back around to the band stuff, I was introduced to like, pop punk and metalcore, like that Warped Tour kind of bands. And then from there, I started slowly backpedaling to the stuff that I grew up listening to when I was really young. So it's kind of came full circle with my music taste.
Gotcha. We're talking once again with Daemien Drake, lead singer of the band Another Day's Armor. And in your write-up, in your bio here, you guys call yourselves a rock/alternative metal band, combining huge mainstream sound of arena rock with borderline metal instrumental work. Is that pretty much describe what you guys are? I mean, I've heard the one song Underneath, but is that pretty much what you are, or do you go all over the spectrum?
Well, to give you an idea, Underneath was basically, it's funny because that was more of like an experimental idea. Like we normally, none of our music has ever sounded like that. But at the end of the day, we don't really like to try and box ourselves in. So, I mean, for the most part, yeah, it is alternative metal. But at the end of the day, we're definitely not opposed to trying new ideas, because we definitely want to keep the listeners on edge. like we might not come left field and make like a death metal song, but we might try and hit people with stuff that they're not going to expect. Which from what we've been seeing, a lot of people have really been digging the underneath songs. So we might do something like that again in the future. But we're not going to say where the next song is going to go, but it might be different, might be similar. You never know. We like to leave that up to the fans to figure out.
Gotcha. The one thing that's really cool, I've been in the radio industry for 30 years now, and back in the day, you wouldn't hear metal on the airwaves. And metal in the last probably 5 years, I think, maybe even more than that, has really taken off. Why do you feel that it's finally come to rock radio where before it was kind of hidden?
I honestly think, man, it's just people are looking for something different. I feel like to be real, the genres that have been predominating like mainstream culture and radio is pop and rap. They've been going hand in hand for such a long time, and I feel like, honestly, because I still listen to all this stuff. I try to keep an open mind. I do listen to a lot of other genres, but there's a big oversaturation in that side of music that I feel like people are starting to gravitate towards different stuff, and they're trying to hear something that they don't hear every day. And I feel like, with rock, I've noticed not only are the fans super diehard, but they really appreciate it, because I feel like there's so much that goes into, not only having a group, but having a group that works well and produces well. You know what I mean? So I feel like there's even more like an appreciation for rock music, because it's not as easy as people think,
Right. And the one thing, too, I mean, if you're a true rocker or a true rock fan, rock is never going to die. And it's going to be a huge test now with what's going on in the world. Once things kind of get back to normal, which, I guess, genres are going to survive. And I think rock will be fine. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, because you see it, it's funny because, I feel like people almost have to kind of look for it in a way, but at the end of the day, you see these big festivals that are predominantly rock and metal bands, and they're huge. It's not like there's nothing going on. There's tons all over the country, all over other countries, where people pack in by the thousands to come see bands. So it's like, it's not like it's dead. It's been here. It's been active. There's just people who have to look a little harder than others. But at the end of the day, man, it's never less.
One thing I am kind of curious about with obviously what's happening in the world today, and obviously we're social distancing ourselves, when this all finally kind of works itself out, what will you think it'll be like going to a concert? Is it going to be different than what it was before?
Well, I'm going to be honest. It's funny because I was listening to a podcast recently, and they were actually saying something similar where, this might actually really affect, the younger generation, where you might get people who, they're growing up during this time where the social distancing and, the constantly washing your hands and staying away and keeping clean as much as possible. And I feel like that really is going to affect certain people. So, yeah, I mean, there might be a chance of it being different, but I don't know, man. I feel like at the same time, I feel like when it's all said and done, from, like, how I've seen concerts go, just in, like, normal settings, I feel like people are just going to be happy to go back to the way things were, where they can just hang out with their buddies or, go and just enjoy a concert on their own and not mind being in a mosh pit, or not mind, rubbing shoulders with people to get to the front to see who they want to see. I feel like people are going to be more appreciative of it. I feel like more people might actually start going out, because this is really showing to the world that there are times where we might not be able to enjoy things like that.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100% on that. We're talking with Daemien Drake. He's the lead singer of Another Day's Armor. They're a band out of New York. And their latest song, at least it's spinning on our airwaves, is Underneath. And you were mentioning, obviously, this is a song that doesn't really pigeonhole you into what genre kind of, or what music you make. But give us, I guess, kind of the reason this song came out, and what's the story behind it?
So basically, just to give you back on an insight, there was a time where I was telling Nick, who he predominantly writes a lot of our instrumentation, and obviously everybody plays their part, but he's a big role player in that. And I kept telling him, like, listen, man, we need a new metal song. We need a new metal song. I kept telling him, like, we just like make one, because that's always been my favorite sound when it came to metal. And if the one day just came around and he was like, hey man, I got this song, you got to listen to it. I heard the instrumental and I was done. I knew exactly how I wanted to make it. I knew exactly how I wanted to go, and just completely wrote the whole thing right then and there. And and now the song, as far as like what it means and what the content of it is, it's a very darker song. Like I went to a pretty dark place writing it on my own end. And I guess it's just because I've learned over time the best music is the stuff that people can really feel, is so when they hear it, they feel it. And that's what I wanted to do with this. So I just went to this really dark place to create this track. And honestly, like, the song's about like self-harm and depression, which I feel like, is a very big topic in today's times, but at the end of the day, I've learned that being real personal and being real about things, it really helps with the listener and the viewer, because there are people out there who can relate with that idea, and at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. We want to let people know that they're not the only ones going through stuff. And I feel like it's redundant. I feel like a lot of people say that, but I also feel like when you listen to the song, you can hear the genuine side of it. It doesn't sound like I just took a topic and just started writing about it,
Right. No, there's definitely emotion in it. I can see that, or listen to it, hear it, and the other thing too I like about it is it just rocks. I mean, there's nothing wrong with just rocking too, right?
Yeah, that's another thing. It's because at the end of the day, I like music that I don't even like. The guy doesn't have to say anything, and like he can be talking about nothing, but if it hits hard, it hits hard, and you can't deny that at the end of the day. And it just goes to show, like, it's been 2 months and we have over 300,000 streams on the song, and it's one of our highest streamed songs, and it's only been 2 months, and we've had stuff that's been out for over a year. So, like I said, it definitely shows that it's a sound that we can tap into, that if we ever want to go back to it, we know that people are going to dig it.
Hey, let's move ahead here, I guess, and of course, once this situation of the world works itself out, I guess, kind of what's the next step for you guys out in the world?
Well, basically, we're just we want to stay heavy on just keep putting out music. We want to get back on the road. We want to see all the fans. We want to play for everybody. That's personally my favorite thing to do, is make this stuff come to life and see how people react to it, But that's basically what we want to do, is just like keep everything moving as if it didn't stop. Because at the end of the day, it's a man's world, and we're all fighting,
Absolutely.
we're all pushing through it. So we definitely got to keep it going and not slow anything down. So the minute we have the chance to keep it rolling again, I know for a fact our management's going to be on our tail about that.
Obviously touring is an awesome thing, and you love doing that. And I'm assuming that your performances are great for touring. And that I guess since I've never been to Another Day's Armor show yet, what would I, as a fan, expect when I come to the show?
Just energy, man. We try to. Like I said, I listen to a lot of other genres, and one thing that another genre I try to take and bring it into our world is like the hardcore genre, where like shows are just so filled with energy, and you could feel like you could tell that the people on stage are just giving it their all, and that's what we try to do. We try to show like, wow, like I didn't just pay to be here. Like I didn't just pay to just watch a bunch of guys standing around, because that's never been my thing. I've always been like, I'd rather be throwing myself on the ground and be an okay vocalist than stand in one spot and sing every note right, And I feel like a lot of people would agree, because at the end of the day, we're in the entertainment business. So we have to go out there and entertain people. Otherwise, they're not going to buy a ticket again. So that's what we try to bring, to all the shows that we do, wherever and whenever.
Is there bands out there that have helped you along the way that, or are you guys just kind of basically on your own working to get to the top?
Honestly, man, we're basically on our own. We've been grinding it out. I mean, luckily, we came across our management team about around last year, and they've been a tremendous help. Which, just to throw some names out there, they manage bands like Nonpoint, Through Fire, and a ton more. So they definitely have some good heavy hitters. But we've really just been working tight with them, and they honestly we really appreciate them for taking us on, because we are a band that's still coming up and still working. But they've seen how hard we work. And when we went out to Illinois to perform for them, we gave it everything we got, and they loved that, and they saw how the crowd reacted. And that was actually our first time even playing there when we did. So they've really been the ones that we've been working the closest with. Other than that, any bands who want to co-sign us, we're always down to hit the road and rip the stage.
Absolutely.
But as of right now, we're riding solo.
Speaking of, I guess, the bands and that, are there any things that you can tell us in the works here for maybe summer, fall that's happening, or is it too early to tell on that yet?
It's a little too early, just because, we're like everyone else. We're playing this by ear, so it's. I know that a lot of bands have been rescheduling their tours for the fall, but our stuff is still pretty up in the air as of right now. But we definitely are going to be putting out more music. I can tell you that for right now. So at least if you're not going to be able to see us live, you're going to get more music. And I can tell you right now, the stuff that we have in the chamber, it's going pretty hard. I'll tell you that right now.
I like it. Hey, if more people want information about your band, how can they get that?
Hey, listen, everybody's got a smartphone. Everybody's got the internet. And if you don't, I feel sorry. Go to the library. But listen, all you got to do is look up Another Day's Armor on Google, and you're going to find everything. You're going to find the website. You're going to find the social media, the YouTube. Everything's going to pop up. I feel like that's the easiest way, because not everybody's got everything. So if you just go online and just search our name, you're going to find everything you need about us.
Awesome. And Daemien, as I've been saying, everybody practice that safe distancing and be safe there in New York, and hopefully everything works out soon.
I appreciate it, man. And I appreciate you guys, playing us out there. I appreciate everybody who's digging the song, and I appreciate you taking the time out to have this conversation with me, man. All
righty. Once again, that is Daemien Drake. He's the lead singer of the band Another Day's Armor. Their latest song is Underneath. You're hearing it right now. It's on The Dark. It's on FM 94.